All right, there we go. Hang on. All right, are we on? I think we are. See if I can change it to. Okay. Add some things real quick. Is we have a new system. Right. We're gonna tackle this real quick. We're gonna go over to this. Face cam. He's on. Just a little different. There we go. All right. So, with that said, good afternoon, everyone. Severe weather coverage is in full effect right now, and unfortunately, man, it's getting rough. First things first, I want to kind of outline what you can expect here over the next, let's say, 2 to 3 hours at minimum. And I'm gonna take off the traffic cams because it's gonna get a little distracting real fast. Um, also do these. Happy Fourth, by the way. I should have done a lot of this while I was getting ready, but nonetheless, this was impromptu. Uh, do this for. Do I want to go try the downtown harbor cam? we'll test our luck. Let's see on another. I want to try the harbor cam real quick to see how that's looking, because I think we can get downtown in. Yep, we can get downtown, and that's a good shot. We very rarely look outside of due south, but we can see part of the skyline. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug that into here. Take still. Well, it had it earlier, but not anymore. Is that camera even moving? Or is it, are we stuck? Please do not tell me we are stuck. Good Lord, we're stuck. All right. We're gonna have to go back to Fort McHenry. I have to go back to Fort McHenry. Ay. It's like it never, ever stops. Okay. So basically, we have an enhanced risk for severe weather. We don't usually get these, but the reason why we do have them today is because there is a increased concern for damaging winds, and I will display that here right now. Whoops. Let's look at the wind parameters. There's a 45% wind risk today. We rarely get these. And there's a conditional intensity group 1 risk, which essentially means winds up to 70 miles per hour can happen. That's elevated. Baseline is 60. So with that in mind, damaging if not destructive winds are a concern this afternoon. Let me change this. And that's for the DC Metro. Okay. That just came in. So again, wind is a primary threat. Hail, there is a small hail risk out in southern Maryland, but the primary concern, no tornadoes, but just the destructive winds that could be in place this afternoon. That's why the threat has been elevated, and that's the case in Charles County right now. Let me change this label real quick, and then we will dive straight in. I'm sorry I'm taking so long, but that's what happens when stuff like this happens. When stuff like this kind of goes impromptu. We'll do Fort McHenry for that. There we go. So I want to get in here on Charles County. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in place. A slither that is in the destructive category. That's that brown tinge that you see in far western Charles. And matter of fact, I'll go over to is my stream deck like acting up now? Oh my god. When I want to go stream, sometimes my gear likes to tap out on me. But we'll do this. Actually, no. No. Yes. And yes. There we go. So I got a different system up here, and what you can basically see is this particular storm that's over the Quantico base. There we go. So okay, so there, my controls are working. But basically, here's the storm over the Quantico base, right along 224. The heaviest core of it is just south of Nanjemoy, and I'll pull up the other view so you can see it here. Nanjemoy heading into Marshall now. This is far western Charles County. But let me also pull up the line in terms of warnings. So we'll go outlooks. We'll talk about rainfall down the line. That's a concern that we'll have. But in the black here, this is our destructive severe thunderstorm warning until 6:15. $50 size hail, That's radar indicated, but the destructive tag, as I lift my seat up here, is for 80-mile-per-hour winds. 80-mile-per-hour winds. This is serious stuff, y'all. So understand, Western Charles, you're in on half-dollar size hail potentially in Nanjemoy, Doncaster, heading up towards Ironsides and Marsh Hope, Paiksa, those areas of western Charles County. There is a considerable tag, severe thunderstorm warning, that is in place for western and a lot of central Charles County. It does include the city of La Plata, Port Tobacco, you're in this. St. Charles, you're close. It just misses Bryantown, but not by a whole lot, towards Pine Hill Estates, and it cuts off just south of Waldorf. This is for 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. That's a standard baseline for the wind, but the hail threat, for the hail threat, pardon me, but the wind threat is elevated. That's why the considerable tag is there. Let me go back to radar, and I'm going to get you a track, and I'm going to get the speed on this. It is moving to the northeast at 20, and I want to get a trajectory on this. Yeah, you can see how the storm is just pushing. That's that gust of damaging wind that's probably taking place here in far eastern Stafford County into Charles County, and that's why I was warned for 80-mile-per-hour winds. These downbursts are going to be intense today, because what's going to happen is these storms pop up. They're going to sustain themselves for a while. We have big updrafts of 70, 80-plus miles per hour. They're helping these storms rise. Some of these storms earlier out in Northern Virginia were going well over 50,000 feet. That's very high. The taller the height, the stronger the storm. But we don't have the super strong winds aloft to keep these maintained for long periods of time. So what they do, they rain themselves out. All that rain, all that moisture is like weights built on top of each other, and they just start collapsing. And what happens with that collapse is that all the rain and the wind starts spreading out. So think of it like pouring water on the surface, right? The water hits, then it spreads. This is where we have that damaging wind threat because of that effect. And that's the main reason why today is so concerning. Now, let me just get a track on this. Do a free draw. When can I get a... Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm going to say right now it's moving about like so. And do 30 minutes. It's moving at 20, so it's not going to take a super long time. Well, actually, it is going to take a long time for some areas. And honestly, flooding threat's going to be there just because these storms are going to train over some of the same areas and stay over a lot of the same areas for longer periods of time because they're such slow movers. Some of these were stationary earlier out in Northern Virginia. But right now, Marbury, 627, Indian Head, 631, Potomac Heights, 634, and into Pomfret by 634 as well. Now, if I do this a little bit more of a varietize or to the east, I'm just going to give you a rough estimate, and I didn't do the best job there. I want to kind of get this towards La Plata. It would be doing so just after 6:30. So 6:35, 6:40 in La Plata, that's when we can expect the worst of this. Now, we do have more storms to the north that I want to talk about here, and I'm going to go back to the other system just to discuss this. These are your garden variety severe thunderstorm warnings in place, southern Washington County, into Frederick County. That's for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That will go until 6:45. We do have, and this one just got upped. This one's a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, northern Frederick County into northwestern Carroll County. That will go until 6:45 as well. It got upgraded. Let me see the wording from the NWS on this. Where are you? We'll do this LWX and I'll have to press here. So new information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated. So there's the new warning. At 6:12, a severe thunderstorm was located near Clover Hill or near Frederick, moving northeast at 20. 70-mile-per-hour winds and ping pong ball-sized hail. That's significant, y'all. That's no joke. Frederick, Dermont, Emmitsburg, Tawnytown, Sabilisville, Walkersville, Clover Hill, Utica, Rocky Ridge, Keysville, Keymar, Graceham, Lewiston are some of the locations that are in the path of this severe thunderstorm. And yeah, it does not look pretty. That really concerns me. There's that pocket. That's why they warned it. Wow. There was a pixel of 102 ahead. And I'm seeing some 65, 64, 67. I actually pull it up on the other system so you can better see this, because I think this one does a better job of the larger displays. Let me just go over to this one here, and we'll go to, there it is. And you can see, well, it's about the same size, but still, I'm getting 70-mile-per-hour winds and a pixel of 105. Now, that may be an anomaly, but nonetheless, we could be talking about 70-plus-mile-per-hour winds getting ready to move into Thurmont. So if you are in Thurmont, you need to be taking this seriously. I would treat this as a tornado warning, quite honestly, with the winds that we could be seeing out ahead of this. And again, it's that splash effect. These storms are spreading out. See how it just, watch how it stayed stationary and then shot up to the northeast. That's essentially the microburst effect. As these storms push out, all the moisture gets pushed out, the damaging wind threat becomes enhanced. So with that in mind, I'll do a track, and we'll do about 20, and I'll get Thurmont in here. It would be in Loy's at 625, Grayson at 627, Thurmont at 629. And if this were to get to Emmitsburg, we're talking about 650, and this just became... Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Don't tell me. Oh, good grief. EDS severe thunderstorm warning just got placed, and there's the polygon. I'll go over to the other system. There's an extremely dangerous situation, severe thunderstorm warning for ping pong ball. Is it half dollar sized hail, 80-mile-per-hour winds. Eastern Washington, northern Frederick, northwestern Carroll. This is serious, y'all. We could be talking about 80-mile-per-hour winds pushing in. There you are. 80-mile-per-hour winds getting ready to move through. Let me get the latest warning here from the National Weather Service in Sterling on this particular storm. I'm going to take my... What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably make this horizontal landscape. So severe thunderstorm warning, northeastern Washington, northwestern Carroll, northwestern Frederick County. And that will go until 6:45. At 6:14, the severe thunderstorm was located near Clover Hill or near Thurmont, moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. This is a destructive storm for eastern Washington County and northwestern Frederick County. Expect considerable damage to trees and power lines. Your life is at significant risk if outdoors. In addition, some trees falling into homes. Wind damage is possible to roofs, sheds, open garages, and mobile homes. Treat this as a tornado warning. This is an extremely dangerous situation with tornado-like winds, tornado-like wind speeds expected. That's the wording from the National Weather Service. Tornado-like wind speeds expected. Mobile homes and high-profile vehicles are especially susceptible to winds of this magnitude and may be overturned. Move to the interior room of the lowest floor of a building. This storm has the potential to cause serious injury and significant property damage. This is an extremely dangerous situation. This storm is producing widespread wind damage across eastern Washington County and northern Frederick County. Seek shelter now inside the sturdy structure and stay away from windows. Large hail, damaging wind, and continuous cloud-to-ground lightning are occurring with this storm, and torrential rainfall as well. That's the wording from the Weather Service. So with that in mind, this storm that is near Lewistown is serious. Very rarely do we have EDS severe thunderstorm warnings placed. Today is one of those. This is significant stuff that we are dealing with. And again, the potential is there for 80-mile-per-hour winds. I'm seeing 57s, I'm seeing 59s, I see a pixel of 61 on the base velocity, at least of the scan that I'm seeing out ahead of this. This is moving to Thermont now. So if you are in Thermont, pay very close attention, because within about 15 minutes time, really 10 minutes now, this will be our problem. Pardon me. Let me get a drink in real quick. Pardon me. Sorry. I needed that. But this is a bad deal. If you are in Frederick County, well, let me take off the track. I'm sitting right by the Catoctin Highway here. I'd say by the Prior Road, Catoctin Furnace Road exit. I'm seeing some strong wind pixels here. Now, how does that correlate to our wind damage potential? That's out ahead. I'm looking at the time scans. That's maybe just some clutter. But even then, like, the damaging wind threat with this could be rather substantial. That's why I'm really concerned about this right now, even though it's showing signs of slowing down just a little bit. Don't let your guard down. This is a destructive storm in Frederick County as of the moment. Do have some more storms. Montgomery County, Germantown, Gaithersburg, North Potomac. Got a strong one here, north of Darnestown. And then we do have our complex here down in Charles County. Thankfully, that destructive tag warning got dropped, but we do have the considerable tag in Charles County for this storm. That looks like it's got some decent hail, 1/4 inch now, but the 70-mile-per-hour winds are still a concern with this. And then we have something trying to pop up near Odenton, and we'll have to monitor that carefully, because Metro, we haven't had anything yet. And if I look at the observations,
new information, this severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
ay. Just looking to make sure anything more crazy here, but we have a lot of moisture this afternoon, especially once you get down to the southeastern counties. I mean, Pocomoke City, the dew point was like 80 earlier. I believe it was around like 3. And you look at Princess Anne on the Mesonet, I believe it was 82. It was also 80, I mean, not like 82 degrees, but like the dew point was also 80 degrees as well. The heat indices, just because of the temperature and the humidity being so high in a lot of locations, now it's dropped off a little bit, which is good. But nonetheless, those heat indices are going to be there. I mean, we were pushing like 120 earlier down in Somerset County and inland Worcester. It was ridiculous earlier. Now it's backed off a little bit. These storms are firing off, and you can tell where they've been starting to traverse. This is as of 30-40 minutes ago, the observations of the RTMAs. HRRR is a little behind. So you could see the storms have a lot of energy to work with, and I can just show you the let's do most unstable. Wow, that's a lot of energy. We're talking 1,500 to 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 units of energy. These storms are going to have a lot to work with in terms of that, but the upper level winds are what's limiting it this afternoon. Yes, we have the energy. Yes, we have the moisture in place. But you look at the upper air. Let's just do 925, for example. Not great. 850 is where you want to go, and there's not a whole lot of driving wind. It's not until you get to about 700 is where you get some of that upper level change. But even then, it's not sustainable. You usually want 40, and you want this in the 850. You don't want that in the 700. So, again, yes, these are strong enough conditions where we can have severe storms, but they're going to be limited on what varieties can be presented and the threats that could be posed because of them. But going back to we'll go back to RTMAs and then we'll go back to radar here. You can see where we have our storms. Lewistown to Lloyd's to near New Midway. We got this strong one. And matter of fact, I will pull up the other system just so I can get more local with this. Kriegerstown into Trouttville, Rocky Ridge, Graceham, a lot of residential area here. East of Thurmont, unfortunately is going to be in play. Detour once again to Western Carroll, Keysville, Tawnytown's on the edge. Man, if this tries to shift eastward in terms of the energy of the storm, Union Bridge, Tawnytown, I pay attention because it's tried to do that at least a couple times. Let me go down to 10 scans. You can see the city watershed just got hit by this storm, and that's moving north towards Tawnytown. Let me just look at the cameras here. So we're going to look around. Fort McHenry. Is that now? I think that's now. Let me just verify that, but I think this is now. I think that was camera 1. Yeah, that is live. It's just the clouds. They're starting to pick up. Okay. I'm gonna do the monument at the fair, and that's looking towards downtown Arlington. You can see the clouds are picking up in those storms back to the west and southwest. Especially that one in Charles is starting to become more of a concern. I'm gonna get in, but yeah, those storms are starting now, encroaching on PG County near Bryant's Road and Mount Vernon, getting towards Accokeek. But that's what's going on there, and then I'll take you down to Lake Kinnamakundi, downtown Columbia. It is hot, muggy, and humid, but there are storms not too far away. Let me take you back to radar, and we'll talk about this. We're going to go back out. There's our storms in Frederick County, the ones down Charles. But we got some more coming in from the Potomac into St. Mary's County. One's trying to pop up, I believe, in Talbot County. Or is that just a radar echo error I'm seeing here? That might be an echo error that I'm seeing here. But we got 2. We got one by Fort Meade and Odenton, just south of the airport. That's, I want to get some sense of direction on that. That might be moving more northeast. So the airport, Glen Burnie, you would be very close to this. I don't think it's right at, yeah, there's Arundel Mills. It's just south of Arundel Mills at the moment. But Glen Burnie, Thurgood, over towards Pasadena and Ferndale, Riviera Beach. That's where this would be heading in due time. You got a more substantial thunderstorm here in Montgomery County over Germantown and Gaithersburg. And that one's been crawling. I mean, it's been raining at Gaithersburg for a while now. That's 6:07. That's 6:25. It's been raining there for at least 20 minutes at Gaithersburg.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
And a new warning. Okay, that's with the storm down in St. Mary's. Okay, I was just trying to look at the screen, seeing what's going on there, but that's a new warning down in St. Mary's County, eastern portions of Charles County. This will go until 7:30, I believe it said. Let me verify that. And that one for Howard and Montgomery just got issued too. Okay, so let's go over these one at a time. There's one for St. Mary's and Eastern Charles. It's until 7:30. At 6:36, a severe thunderstorm was located near Colonial Beach, moving northeast at 20. And that's 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with this particular storm. So let me just get a track on this, and I'll go over the other system for that. And there's that new warning that does encroach into our metro zones, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been
And that's the one I was just talking about for West Metro, but we'll talk about that in due time. Let me just get a track on this. It's moving at 20, And I'm only going to track for 30 because, simply put, these storms, they're going to survive to some degree in different forms, in different intensities. But as is, it's going to change from almost minute to minute just because of the temperamental nature these storms are going to face today. But Rock Point, now you are under the gun for severe thunderstorm. And that's Rock Point, Virginia. Or is that? That's Maryland. That's just across the state line. That's far southern. That's that extension, the appendix there of Charles County along 257. Let me get in tighter and see if I can get some more communities. Chapteago, Morzana, Newport, Mechanicsville, Oroville, Charlotte Hall, you're in the path of this in due time. Bryantown, you're in the warning. It doesn't quite go to the Patuxent, but those areas, those smaller communities to the east and north of the Wicomico River will be dealing with this over the next 30 to 45 minutes at minimum. I want to go north and talk about the storm in Metro, because that one, it's got its sights set on a lot of our more populated metro zones eventually. And the way these storms were popping up on model guidance today, these are probably going to be the ones that start the mess that we have. But severe thunderstorm warning for Central Howard and Central Montgomery until 7:15. Severe thunderstorm was located over Montgomery Village or near over Gaithersburg, pardon me, moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. And yeah, that's a slow mover. Let me just do a new track. There we go. Brookville, Dayton, you would be in the path for this. Also, for those in Daisy and Seneca Overlook and Lisbon, Poplar Springs, Cooksville, Gray Rock, Dorsey Search, over towards West Friendship, you're going to be in the path eventually. I'm going to do this over the next hour because this may become a mess. But if it does hold towards Granite, it will be doing so by about 7:15. But that's a ways away. And the way these storms, again, are changing, I don't want to put money on that, at least for the time being. But up to West Friendship, you need to be watching these storms carefully, because you are under the warning. And this is progressing, and this does have a lot of lightning with it. Going back to the storm north in Frederick County, I'm going to look at this on two different systems, so forget me if one moves and one doesn't. That's surging north. Okay. Look at the animations. That's definitely surged a little bit more northeast. I'm going to look at our velocities here.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
It got upped. It got upped. We got 70s in Charles and St. Mary's. We'll get to that in a second. But again, the potential's there for damaging, if not destructive winds. I'm seeing 60s. I'm seeing some mid 60s in terms of our winds. Wow, that pocket near Thurmont's getting intense. 67 mile per hour winds. So we at least have 70 mile per hour winds potentially moving through the west side of Thurmont here along Foxville Road. And then Charles County, did that get upped? Yep, it got upped. Charles County got upped. So there's a lot going on, as you can imagine. I'm looking at two different views, but again, we're dealing with 70s here towards on Foxville Road over towards the Foxville community. So for those in northern Frederick, northwestern Frederick County, over by Catoctin Mountain Park, Camp David, you would be in the path. This, unfortunately, is going to be a bad hand. So for those in Lance, for those in Sibyllsville, for those in Shamrock Acres and Friends Creek, you need to be treating this as a tornado warning. I would say go to the lowest level of a sturdy building. Don't try to be in a car or mobile home when you're messing with these types of winds, because that's going to even put you in a more dangerous situation. I'm going to move back south, and we're going to talk about these warnings down in Charles County, southern Prince George's County, into western St. Mary's. So this one for southern Prince George's, a lot of Charles County goes until 7 o'clock. 70-mile-per-hour winds are the main threat. And then we do have this one that got up here to 70-mile-per-hour winds in western St. Mary's, eastern Charles. So understand, we do have two separate storms that are of great concern right now across the greater DC metro. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this second. You can barely see what's going on. Let's do this. Warnings, severe. There we go. So you can see this a little bit better. But there's your warnings. This one's just your plain old. And then we got ongoing 3 considerable tag severe thunderstorm warnings across Charles County, western St. Mary's, southern Prince George's, northern Frederick, and northwestern Carroll County. Technically speaking, the EDS severe thunderstorm warning is still in place for eastern Washington, northwestern Carroll, northern Frederick until 6:45. Do I see 80s with this right now? I'm not necessarily sold, but nonetheless, I would err on the side of caution. Emmitsburg, this is starting to approach rather quickly. The leading edge of this will probably have a lot of the most destructive wind potential, pardon me. So for those of you in Emmitsburg, for those of you in Sibyllsville and Woodland Heights and Mater, St. Anthony, out here in northern Frederick County, you need to be on alert. Taneytown too, this is starting to get in your direction. And we got another one popping up. We got one popping up on the east side of DC at the moment, and it might be interesting to take the monument cam. That'd be camera 2. I don't know if we're gonna get. Yeah, we're not gonna get a good view. I'm gonna look around, but I honestly don't think we're gonna get a good view, unless we go to a different one. So I'm gonna look at a couple different camera views. Capital may be a good option. I want to take this real quick. We're gonna go capital cam, and this is gonna be an interesting point. You can see how the wind is blowing the flag here side to side, and we got intense gusty winds. I would imagine it's from this storm that's over DC right now. And just to show you what I'm talking about here you go. So this is Northwest Stadium. So we're right by where the Commanders play. Coral Hill, Cedar Heights, Kentland. And it may be some of the outflow from this as it's raining and pushing out to some level that's causing those winds to become more elevated. I'm gonna look there. So there's Capitol Hill. And again, from the edge of the storm, we're about 3.5 miles away. Okay, so that's interesting. And that's looking back west still over the storms, but that's an interesting viewpoint that I'm seeing here from the Capitol building, and that's a new severe thunderstorm warning that got issued. I'm gonna, and that's for the metro. So, good grief, the warnings just continue to come out. We have 11 active alerts right now across the state, at least in some way, shape, or form. And I'm putting the radar into X mode so that we can get an extra scan so we can see the latest information on this particular system. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take it out the whammo, not the whammo, the Capital Cam. And we're going to talk about this real quick. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for southern Baltimore City. Does it technically include downtown? Yes, it does. It does include southwestern Baltimore County, northern Anne Arundel County, eastern Howard. This will go until 7 o'clock. So this storm near Odenton, again, is becoming of interest, and that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds as this moves to the northeast. What is this at? Wow, 15. Again, these storms are going to be slow movers, and there's more popping up. This is going to become a mess. And I'll show you on the other system what I'm talking about here, because I'm looking at this from two different perspectives. Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to plug my computer in. My frame's going to start dropping here soon. How I have everything configured. There we go. Attaboy. There we go. This. There. Got where I want to go. So while these are going through their ads for EarthCam, we're going to talk about this storm in Odenton and Severn. That's getting towards Glen Burnie. That's right by the airport here. That's tracking northeast at 15. And again, the flooding threat's going to start becoming a little bit more of a concern down the pike. But 15, look where that only gets us. It gets us just to the Beltway. Yikes. It's here. Big yikes. It's going to be a very bad deal in terms of rain. Glen Burnie, Ferndale, Linthicum, Brooklyn Park, and the Highlands between now and 7:07 is when you can expect the worst of this. Glen Burnie, you're minutes away. And what I can actually probably do is you can look at traffic cameras on one of our systems. We'll do 97 at New Cut. I'm trying to get something that's looking towards the storm. 170, no. Do another one. Benfield, it's raining there. No, switch it over just so you can look with me here. This is Hanover. We got wasps around, and again, it's hot, it's muggy, it's humid. It's gonna make the bugs angry up there. That's 895 at 695 out ahead of this storm, but this storm that's over Severn and Gambros right now, right by the BW Medical Center, that's potent. That could drop some good rainfall in a short amount of time. I'm looking at the rainfall rates. Wow. So 5 inches an hour in some locations, up to 6. And generally speaking, 2 to 3 across this pocket. So what is that telling me? Very heavy rainfall, the potential for flash flooding, especially in urban areas, in a short amount of time. So we need to be on high alert with these storms. Let me go back to the other system, see if they got that back up and running. I got one more. We got a concert gathering. Okay. I can't 3 interact. and everybody's around there. And I'll take this full for a second, and forgive me if I'm jumping around, but real quickly, I want to show you where this is heading. If this does get into South Baltimore, we're talking about 720, into Essex around 735, 740, if this were to continue. So I gotta keep. And again, that's heading towards the general direction of the city of Baltimore within the next 30 to 45 minutes, assuming nothing else pops up. Let me take you over to Columbia. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take... No, wrong one. This is 3. So this is Lake Kittamaqundi. This is downtown Columbia. This is where that storm that's right now over Laytonsville... Actually, it's really interesting what I'm looking at. So Columbia is right in between the storm that's over by the airport and then the storm that's over in Montgomery County. You can see the gray clouds there. They're prepping for July 4th festivities tonight. With that said, these storms are not going to be ones that are going to be nice, especially since we may have one popping up near Columbia, and this may be the connector. If that does pop up, and that would be a really bad deal for those festival goers out there in Columbia. Let me take the radar back full on my end. Actually, no, we'll do this, and we'll talk about more of these storms. Tawnytown, Union Bridge, we still got the heavy thunderstorm that's right now smack dab over downtown Tawnytown. Cloverberry, right by the Antrim House Hotel, the Greenland Manor, and that's getting up into Adams. So for those of you across the Mason-Dixon now in Adams County, Franklin County, York County, got some serious storms heading up that way. And wow, that's a nasty one that's up towards Harrisburg. Warning for Dauphin County, that goes until 7:15. And again, this is right when a lot of models predicted chaos would start ensuing. We still got these considerable tag warnings down to the south. And again, these are going to be the types of storms that start raining themselves out. You can see the one near Waldorf's nowhere near what it was earlier. The one in southern Charles and western St. Mary's is getting a little bit stronger again. But these storms are going to be the types where it will get really strong and they will rain themselves out. And these are slow movers, 15, 20 miles per hour at best today. That's just the nature of the event. Let me take off the traffic camera so you can see things a little bit more clearly. But just to reset and give you an idea of what's going on, we have the storms back in urban Western Maryland, severe thunderstorm warning up in Washington, Frederick, and Carroll. That's been downgraded, thank goodness, to just your garden variety severe thunderstorm warning with 60-mile-per-hour winds. That will be expiring here at 7:30. We do have the thunderstorm warning in Montgomery County, Howard County. That will go until 7:15. And then the one in Anne Arundel County, Eastern Howard, into the metro. That will go until 7 o'clock. And there's a new warning. Where? Let me just pull this up from... Okay, that's a new one to replace it. Okay. That's a new one to replace it for Frederick and Carroll. That was this one. All right. So that's good news there. Just so you know, I have OBS up, but I can barely see some of the stuff that's there because I had to minimize, because I had to look at the YouTube control panel and then all the scenes, the audio, all that stuff. So if I'm trying to find something, that's why. But that's where we stand in terms of warnings. And I'm gonna get back in to System 2, and we need to talk about the plethora of stuff that's going on. The lightning is going to be terrible. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. The lightning with these storms this afternoon and into tonight are just going to be terrible. And what do I have lightning set to here? lightning is set to. Is that the last 15 minutes? Last 15 to 30 minutes. That's a lot of lightning. A lot of lightning is ongoing with these storms. I was trying to find it, but I can't find it. I'm presuming it's the last 15 minutes. There's a lot of lightning, especially these storms. Good grief, Montgomery's bad, and then Charles into St. Mary's. That Southern storm is really potent in terms of lightning, and we have some wind damage and a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust report. Let me read this off to you. This is from a weather flow sensor there near Cuckold Creek. Wind gust is 65 knots or 75 miles per hour between the 6:23 and 6:33 p.m. scans. Good grief. So this means business. We have observed 70-mile-per-hour winds now moving into St. Mary's. And again, those stations can be a little temperamental, but even then, this looks intense. This doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill storm. And I'm going to pull up on the other system here, something that has my interest. So hang tight. And we're going to do a split. We're going to do a 3D. Do a 3D scan, a volumetric scan of this, just to see how high the storm's going. That is high. Some of the highest echoes are going 44,000 feet, if not more. That's a healthy thunderstorm, a very potent thunderstorm, although it doesn't have the upper level mechanics to move it at the moment. Good grief. That's when you start talking about the strength of the storm and all the lightning that's with it. Let me just do this real quick. Just get myself reoriented. There we go. But again, this is nothing to mess with. St. Mary's County. If you're in Charlotte Hall, if you're in Mechanicsville, get indoors now, because this one here, it's no joke. Patuxent Base, you would be next in line eventually. Actually, no. Patuxent Base is way further down, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry.
Attention, a new special weather statement has been issued.
I'm just trying to wonder where it is. I'm drawing a blank. So there's a Patuxent. Oh, okay, there it is. It's way down south. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I thought it was way down south. But Highway 5, St. Mary's County, Charlotte Hall, you really need to be taking this seriously. And again, Calvert County, down the line across the Patuxent, you need to be watching this closely. It is moving in the general direction of Prince Frederick, and it would be doing so, I'd imagine, within 45 minutes to an hour, barring any more development. Now, let me take 231 at the river. And that's one's out. That's great. This is going to be a rough go in Southern Maryland, unfortunately. And the storm out towards Landover just got severe thunderstorm warned. That's up towards Bowie. And the mess is starting to congeal. So you could see big storms. We got one entering Columbia right now. Wow. Hickory Ridge, the west side, right by Howard County General. Let me take again, I'm gonna have to take Lake Kimakundi full. There's a view. There's a storm. So Lake Kimakundi is right here on the east side of downtown, and it's within about a mile and a half of Lake Kimakundi. And assuming these storms all congeal into one big mess, that's going to be a bad deal for Columbia if things do turn out that way. So a lot of these festival goers, you could see it's not as packed as it was earlier. They're having to go indoors.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
And a new warning has been issued. Where? Oh, wait. That's the one for PG, Eastern Anne Arundel, or Western Anne Arundel, I'm sorry, northeastern Prince George's County. That will go until in a new warning. Metro, things are starting to get dicey. So, southern, southeastern Carroll County, western Baltimore, we're now under a severe thunderstorm warning. That will go until, and let me just pull up what I'm talking about here on the main system. There you go. There's that warning. That will go until 8 o'clock. So this is a little bit more of a long fuse warning.
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
So this is a long fuse warning for the Metro until 8 o'clock. Eldersburg, Owings Mills, Granite, Reisterstown, just the outskirts of Pikesville. I'd say north and west of the Beltway. Randallstown, you're in this. Garrison, you're in this warning as well. So there we are with this severe thunderstorm warning that's in place, and I'm gonna get in a little bit tighter. But there's Garrison, Tyler, Holbrook, those areas along the Patapsco and the Liberty Reservoir, Chevette's Corner, Oklahoma, Eldersburg. You're in this warning until 8 o'clock for this particular thunderstorm. That's for 60-mile-per-hour winds, radar indicated. So that's what's going on with this particular storm. That's the extension of the one that was in Montgomery. So the mess is congealing, y'all. The mess is congealing. Fort Meade, again, got bad thunderstorm there. Let me see what this camera looks like out Fort Meade. It's going to be bad. 295 at Sykesville. It's pouring. It is pouring right now. And that, I don't see too much lightning for the moment with this cluster. But again, with some of the storms, especially north and west, that lightning's starting to get really, really potent. Let me see what it's looking like towards Garbo Knoll right now. 70 at 97. So this is if I can get this camera to even pop up. This is Cooksville. If it will pop up, it will not. Let's do West Friendship. 70 at 32. No. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call an audible. We're gonna call an audible. So the weather-wise is not working, but we can definitely get here on this system. Cookville might just be out. Cooksville might just be straight out, but we can at least look at West Friendship here. And it's pouring. You may be just able to make out those little ripples. That's the wind-driven rain that's pushing through West Friendship right now. I wonder if we can get any lightning with this. And what I'm actually going to do... hang on. I'm going to go check outside look out the window real quick and see what I see. Hang on 1 second.
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
Okay. Here's what's going on. Skies are darkening to the west of my location. I don't see much in the way of lightning just yet, but it's coming. Knowing how these storms are producing the energy that they are today, that's coming soon. Do another view here. I'm gonna see if I can get Beltway. Okay, Beltway 97 is popping up on the system. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go back here, and we're gonna go to this. And actually, we'll take WW full real quick. So this is the Beltway at 97. This is the camera right here. And that's looking to the south, southeast. Winds are picking up. This is becoming a potent thunderstorm. Or is it? The warning got dropped. This is like overall as a complex, it's becoming a little bit more potent, but it's starting to rain itself out again. You can see the echoes. Watch. Wow. That was fast. So the echoes started to weaken. So watch it pop up, pushes out. And then from there, it's a garden variety thunderstorm, but right now it's below severe criteria. Although I will mention that doesn't necessarily guarantee that it can come back at some point to that, especially if it does have a merger with another one of these storms down the pike. But that's what's going on. That's moving to Glen Burnie right now. It's pretty much right at the camera. So I'm going to keep that in a small view here. And we're going to go and try to do Glen Burnie 97-100. Wow, it's pouring. That's a lot of rain at 97 and 100 right now. This is what you're going to have to be up against if you're driving on any of the major highways that are getting impacted by these storms right now. Simply put, and then why are there people parking under overpasses? The one thing you don't do during severe weather, especially when you're dealing with the potential for gusty winds, is park under an overpass, simply because those act as wind tunnels that can intensify winds and become even more of a problem than what it already is. I don't understand it. I don't, but yeah. Getting back into focus now, a new warning just got issued while I was gone for southeastern Prince George's County, far eastern Charles County, and then a lot of Calvert. That one's going until, when would that be, 8 o'clock? I'm going to verify that time. Yeah, 8 o'clock for 60-mile-per-hour winds. So that's a big board right now. Things are getting dicey, and fireworks are supposed to be happening within the next couple of hours. So hopefully this can start clearing up. But the problem is, even behind these storms, there are more that are trying to fire off in Northern Virginia. So stubborn rain may be around for fireworks there. And if there's a threat for lightning, I don't know. That may be another problem within itself. Wow. That camera, The Beltway at 97, that's starting to become a problem there. And the Harrisburg warning just got up to 70. Or is that 80? That's 70. That's the considerable tag. I'm sorry. Wow. And a new warning for the Metro for the storm that we are having the camera on right now. That one's going to go until 8 o'clock. So Eastern Howard, Southern Baltimore, the southern half of Baltimore City, northern end of Arundel County. Downtown Baltimore is in this warning. It cuts off just south of Park Heights. It's not by much. Ashburton, Mondawmin, Edmondson Village, Highlandtown, Sowebo, over towards St. Agnes, Yale Heights, Irvington, Canton, Bayview, Graceland Park, Little Italy. You're in this warning up to about Broadway. So that's the storm that's moving. And we get into the Metro now, the southern half at least. And now that camera's having some connectivity issues. And it's the damaging winds and the lightning and the rain. All of that is contributing to this cornucopia of a mess. Let me try to take that camera from Chart. Chart might have this in a better view. Beltway at 97. Oh, wow. I want to show you this real quick. Look at this. It's out. It is out. It's upside down. Oh, that was just a technical thing. I thought it got knocked upside down. Good grief. So the power got knocked out, or something happened to knock that camera offline, at least momentarily. That's how strong these winds are right now in Glen Burnie. Unbelievable. Power of Mother Nature, y'all. So if that is your backdrop, let's talk brass tacks. Camera at 70 and 97. That's heading up into the Metro right now. The speed on this is, wow, 10 miles per hour. You want to talk about the threat for flash flooding simply because of the sheer amount of rainfall and the slow movement of this storm? That's, wow. That's moving northeast, right? At 10. Due north. Wow. So just to give you some perspective, it would put it in downtown in 30 minutes at this trajectory. Now, there's probably going to be more that pops up ahead, knowing how these storms work, but that's insane. 10 miles per hour. You want to talk about the potential for flash flooding to be upped just because of that. Man, if you're in Glen Burnie, if you're in the flood-prone area, you need to be watching this closely. I know there's no flood warnings in place right now, but monitor that. I do have flash flood warnings on. Yes, I do. Do I have flood warnings on? Period. Yes, I do too, and I don't see any on my other system. But I will say there is a concern about, at least on the lower end, of some flooding. That's a pretty solid corridor on Golden Beach, Prince Frederick. Again, these storms are going to drop a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Not to mention, these are going to be slow movers that are going to cause mergers. Damaging winds and flooding are going to be the two primary concerns this afternoon and tonight. So I need to take some pause for that. That's ugly. Storms in Eldersburg now, by the way. This one that's been going up, it just, wow. See how I mean? It just developed and it surged north, and that's pushing all that wind out. And I want to look at velocities on this again. Good grief. When it was over Cooks, that's why that camera probably went offline. Let me take off that track and just show you. We had 60-mile-per-hour winds that just went through Cooksville. And Sykesville, wow, 60s and 70s. Again, that's a little bit off the ground, but still, that's insane. And that's moving into Owings Mills. Let me pull up a camera at Owings Mills. Do this. Owings Mills is the one right by the shopping center there. Mill Center. That one might be out. Franklin, we got that one. McDonough, do we got that one? Yes, we do. And that storm is heading in the general direction of Randallstown. This is going to be an ugly deal, y'all. An ugly, ugly deal for the Northwest Metro if this has another surge. And we have more storms. They're lining up. So they're lining up basically from Dulles up to about Laurel. So Dulles to Sterling to near the American Legion. Actually, it's a good ways north of the American Legion Bridge, but near that'd be Falls of Rough, Travilla, Potomac. My landmark's just a tad bit off there, but on Travilla, Potomac, Watkins Island, up into Rockville, Aspen Hill, and up towards Burtonsville. We have this line of storms that is basically following in the exact same area. And that, again, this is becoming a really congealed mess that's moving into the city right now, this very second. It's on the south side now. Lansdowne, Brooklyn Park, the Highlands, over towards Port Covington, South Baltimore. That's where it's moving through right now. It's coming for the city, and it will be doing so soon, just because of the advancement of the storm. Watch that last scan, push north. Actually, what am I doing? Why am I doing this and not showing you that? Good grief! But there we go. Watch that last scan, push north. And that's what's becoming concerning. It's going to be in the city quicker than 30 minutes. I'll tell you that for sure at this clip. The way these storms are having these spurts of advancement and strengthening, that's going to become a problem in due time. Let me go back south. Storm and Calvert's looking a little potent again. Prince Frederick to about Adelina to Helen, heading towards Port Republic. The American Chestnut Land Trust, Dares Beach, Long Beach, you are in the path. So Calvert County, this is what we got to deal with for the next 30 to 45 minutes. And then eventually, northwestern Dorchester, Madison to about Hudson Creek, and then Tilghman Island out there, St. Michael's, Talbot County. You need to be paying attention as well, because that would be heading your way. And we haven't talked much about these areas this afternoon east of the bay, because a lot of storms, all the storms have been west pretty much. But your time's coming. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in place for the lower Delmarva that goes until 10. So originally speaking, Dorchester, Wycomico, Somerset, and Worcester were not in the warnings, but now they are. In the watch, pardon me, but now they are. And now we got a considerable thunderstorm warning that is moving into the city of Baltimore. This is quickly becoming dangerous, y'all. This is quickly becoming dangerous. I hope downtown is working. I'm please. Still no. Okay. I'm gonna do something a little bit different.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
You can see that gray, that almost a hazy area. That's the rain. That's the rain from South Baltimore near the old near the old Key Bridge. That's all that rain that's being pushed northward. So this storm is moving into the city right now. Right now, y'all. So for those of you in the city of Baltimore, again, this camera in particular is going to pan from the harbor looking south to the bank to the yards. But right now in the city of Baltimore, it is an urgent situation to be in shelter. We have 70-mile-per-hour winds getting ready to push in. Where in particular? Let's talk about that. I'm gonna get out of this camera here for a minute, and we're gonna go to the radar system. It's probably that advancement. Watch how it advanced. Pay attention. Watch. It surged.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
It surged north. It definitely surged north. So for those of you in the city, South Baltimore, you saw that view of that storm and the rain that's being pushed into Brooklyn Park. And that might also be the one near Dundalk as well. Because we got some heavy rain that's popping up right over Dundalk and Edgemere this very second. North Point Village. Pardon me. So again, 70-mile-per-hour winds could be pushing into the city of Baltimore right now. We do also have our severe thunderstorm warning here in the west side of the metro, Eldersburg to Reisterstown, Owings Mills. This particular complex, I'm going to look at the wind content and wow. Reisterstown is going to be an interesting view. Cockeys Mill. Do we have that? Now we don't. Okay, we have Franklin. So this is Franklin. And south of Franklin Boulevard. Find it here real quick. 1 second. Is this it? That's Dolefield. I think that's a little bit more north. Cockeys Mill. That's okay. Now we're moving a little bit too. Grayman's. I think we're here. Yeah. So that's the rain. It's just now pushing in. I'm looking at the radar here on another screen, but that is blinding torrential rain along with those winds. That is a bad sight right now in Baltimore County. You can see the camera starting to have a little bit of an issue. So because of the heavy rain, and look, that might be the wind. Oh my goodness. The visibility is even worse. Y'all, this is a concern. The potential for damaging winds. And it's happening right now as we are speaking and having this conversation right now, live on stream. The heavy torrential rain got really, really bad for a second. There's even more of it to come, unfortunately. Elkridge. Is there a camera near Elkridge? That's unbelievable. And cars are stopping over to the side simply because it's so intense. I don't know if there's an accident or what. That doesn't look good. Elkridge or Arbutus, is there any cameras around that area? Because, man. And did we lose that camera at Franklin? We may very well have, at least momentarily. That is unbelievable. We just saw live. River Chase. I'm gonna try one of these cameras here on the other system. That is wild. Let's look at St. Denis. It probably didn't move that much. Long time. Okay, let me pop up the other system here real quick. This is 95 at 195. A lot of heavy rain there. I'm just adjusting some of the different cameras as well. I keep them active, so forgive me if I go breaks in between talking, but I'm kind of a one-man band doing this. But man, this is bad stuff. And by the way, I haven't really mentioned this as much. Warnings will be crawling across the bottom of your screen. You see it's going through the watches, the warnings, who is it for, the expiration date, all that's running at the bottom of the screen so you can stay up to date. All I will say is this. I know a lot of people are going to, in these types of situations, people would probably ask, what about Easton? What about Sudlersville? What about Delmar? What about Pocomoke City? What about? If I'm not talking about you right now, consider that a good thing. We have a gap in between these storms in Calvert and Southern Anne Arundel. That's astonishing. In the capital city, we do have a little bit of storms, but it's not as intense as the storms up in Northern Anne Arundel County. There's some lightning with that view up by 195, but this is starting to merge. And I'm hoping this doesn't merge. If it does, we may have a big problem on our hands, y'all. If we get this merger, enhanced damaging wind threat will be a problem. That camera is still out. We might have. Oh, that camera's back. It's just the stream. The time being is. Wow. Again, these storms are going to be potent. I'm looking at the other view. I'll show you again. Some cars are stopping simply because it is too torrential of rainfall. It's too treacherous out there to even try to commute at this moment. They're trying to let the storm pass by. What I will tell you is this storm will probably take some time to get past because these are slow movers, number one. Number two, these also take up a good bit of real estate behind the actual storm. The one good thing is this one in Northwest is starting the weekend. But we're facing a merger with this, the storm that's entering the city from the south. If that does happen, damaging wind threat could be enhanced. I'm really, really concerned. So, and we talked about this during the open of the stream about 90 minutes ago, how this could be a potential enhancement to the damaging winds. These mergers that happen. And we're starting to see the mergers down to the south with the storms of Montgomery and Howard and near Odenton and Anne Arundel, and how they're starting to form. We also have the complex down in the southern Maryland that's still going strong. That's still got warnings for 60-mile-per-hour winds in Prince Frederick, Calvert County. This is the mess that I was fearing, and it's happening now. So, Metro, this is it, y'all. This is the main event for tonight. I don't want to look too far ahead. I don't. But tomorrow, unfortunately, there's another threat. Slight risk across most of the state. What would be the concern again? Wind. 30% again. Temperatures will be warm and humid. Not quite as hot as today. We got to about 100. Tomorrow will be in the low to mid 90s. Heat indices will still be wicked, and the moisture will still be there, especially considering what's happening tonight with all this rain. So wind will be a concern. Tornado threat is non-existent. Hail threat is there, 5%, but I'm not super buying into the threat right now for hail. I think damaging winds would be the primary concern with that. Also, I want to show you another interesting thing that we have in our system here. Where are you? I'll do mesh swaths for the last 2 hours. You could see where we've potentially had some larger hail in Howard County into Frederick County. There were some pretty good ones back towards Northern Virginia as well. You can see some of the tracks of the storms over the course of the afternoon. The last hour and then the last 30 minutes. And then you could look at the probability of severe hail. It's low right now. The POSH is really low. It's a severe hail index. Although I will say that looks interesting. 144. That's on the lower end. Lower to middle end. The middle is like 240, and then you go up to like 500. 240, 250, and it goes all the way up to like 500. So we're on the lower end of the index. There could be some severe hail. Could, but there's a low probability. Right now, that probability is sitting at about 47%, 48% with this cluster, that heavy pocket here near Glen Burnie. But what I really want to show you is the tracks. These are rotation tracks, and we could do this in a couple different instances. Tornadoes have not been a main concern today. But what I will tell you is that you can see some of the tracks of the damaging winds, at least, up to Thurmont and Tawnytown, and then West Metro, South Metro. That's where we've had some of the damaging wind threat be at its greatest. So that's another thing I want to show. And I can show you another product. This is normalized rotation. I'm not seeing much in the way of rotation. Purple, the one thing I will say about this scale, the gray, it goes from gray to purple to white. White being the most intense rotation. How I have it color scaled. Purple means potential. So, pardon me, I don't see any purple. That's the one good thing I will say. I don't see any purple, but that's something to monitor. And West Metro, this storm is continuing up. North Metro into northern Baltimore County, Harford County, the Hartford zone, new severe thunderstorm warning in place. That will go until 8 o'clock for 60-mile-per-hour winds. And again, this is moving into downtown right now. I gotta take that downtown cam. I want to take a couple of views. First things first. Fort McHenry here in a second. That one just decided to disappear on me. Okay. Oh wow, that's wet out by Columbia. But downtown, I'm gonna take this full. This is the view in downtown. I'm gonna pan it back around. Heavy rain from about TV Hill, Mondawmin, the Zoo, Charles Village, down to Sandtown, Winchester, down to Morrill Park. And it just backed off just a touch. Or did it? No, it did not. That was just a previous scan, but it's in downtown right now. Some of the heaviest stuff is on the west side of downtown, along let me get some streets here. Getting street level. So I think we got Penrose. Actually, I'm gonna go into the other system. Oh, Saratoga. Penrose, Saratoga. Trying to get some more streets to pop up here. We got Gilmore. Calhoun, Stricker, Carrollton, Hollins, Was it Hollands Ferry? No, Holland Street. I'm sorry. Holland Street, Schroeder Street, um, Lombard, especially to the west of the U of M Medical Center. It's getting intense. So it's getting bad out here in downtown Baltimore. Make no mistake about it. And that's a damaging wind threat that's pushing in. And all the heavy rain, the wind, that is, wow. You can't see much south of the harbor. That haze look that you see here in the top right portion of the screen, that's the rain. That's that rain shaft. That's all that heavy rain from the south that's being pushed in. It's getting ugly here in downtown Baltimore at this time. Let me go back to the 3 view. And I know the ads are going to pop up. The bank, you could barely see, you're starting to have trouble seeing the bank right now simply because of all the sheets of rain that are being pushed in. Heavy stuff over towards Essex and Middle River and Bowley's Quarters right now. I'm looking at the radar here on another screen view. Down towards Glen Burnie and Ferndale. This is the mess. And Glen Burnie, it's been raining pretty hard in Glen Burnie for a very long time. At least the last 30 to 45 minutes. At least. Pardon me. But that's what's moving in. Unbelievable stuff that I'm seeing here in downtown. I want to take Fort McHenry. Fort McHenry, there's nothing technically yet. And I'm going to zoom in on Fort. It's very close. It's crossing the Patapsco right now. So it will be on Fort McHenry very shortly. Some of the heaviest rain. Talbot County, severe thunderstorm warning, by the way. For those of you in Talbot County, Easton, St. Michael's, into southern and western portions of Queen Anne's County, southwestern Caroline County, that warning will go until 8:30 for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That is that storm that is pushing out on the bay from Calvert County that has been pushing through southern Maryland. So St. Mary's County, Calvert County, Eastern Charles over the last hour and change. So for those of you in Talbot County, southwestern Caroline, far northwestern Dorchester, southwestern Queen Anne's County, that's the warning that's in place. That will go until 8:30. In downtown, it is bad. It is very bad. Things have... Let me show you the radar. Let me show you the radar right now in downtown. Actually, wow. Look at that. That's the bank. You can't even see the bank now. Unbelievable. I'm going to take... Good Lord. I'm going to take the radar full real quick. Actually, we're going to take this view. Lightning in downtown right now. Middle River. So that's where the worst of this stuff is. It is pouring right now in the city. And the new severe thunderstorm warning now issued northeast for 70-mile-per-hour winds. Does include the rest of Baltimore City, central and eastern Baltimore County, southeastern Baltimore County, into southwestern Hartford. That warning will go until, let me get the timing on this. .8:30 as well. So the new severe thunderstorm warning for the rest of the metro, and then up northeast towards Bel Air. That's for 70-mile-per-hour winds, and that's going to go until 8:30. So this is the mess that we were talking about. It's congealing, and there's another severe thunderstorm warning, Dorchester. So the reason why these came out separate, I'm going to explain this rather quickly. And for that, I'm going to take you back to the 3 view with my face. This comes down to jurisdictions. Talbot County belongs to the National Weather Service of Mount Holly, New Jersey, Philly. Dorchester County belongs to the National Weather Service in Wakefield. That's their jurisdiction down towards Norfolk and Richmond. So essentially, these are because of the differing jurisdictions here. That's why these warnings come out separate. Now, this one, I think Mount Holly is taken out of an abundance of caution just because of this particular complex that's moving through Metro Baltimore. So Mount Holly went ahead and issued a new severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds, your baseline standard. This is going to be for Western Kent, Western Queen Anne's, does include Kent Island, and that will go until, let me get the wording and the timing on this if it will allow me to. 8:30. So that warning that just popped up is until 8:30 for Kent County, Queen Anne's County, Kent Island, and it does include the sliver of Talbot as well. So that's the deal with all these storms, and they're progressing eastward. Eventually, this is going to become a more congealed complex here as it moves across the bay. So for those of you on the Eastern Shore, you haven't had anything this afternoon. And I will note another thing here. I look at the observations. It's cooled off a little bit because of these storms that are moving through right now. We have an abundance of heat and humidity and moisture to work with, y'all. So, Eastern Shore, your time's coming. And guess what? Sunset's still an hour out. There's time. There's time. Eastern Shore, again, your time is starting to come up. Now, past sunset, that threat starts to subside a little bit because we really don't have the upper level wind mechanics to support severe weather being sustainable. But right now, as we stand, we have a threat of bona fide severe weather. Make no mistake about it. York County, Lancaster County into Lebanon, if you have any loved ones up that way, they got 70-mile-per-hour winds potentially with these storms moving through. But let me get back in on the metro and let me check out the winds. What's that pocket here near Fort McHenry? Go back to 30, 40. And again, we're looking through a lot of rain, but nonetheless, that's something to monitor closely. Maybe Dover has a different perspective. Not much. I think the reason we're issuing 70s for two reasons. The storm's pushing out and it's in a major metro area. So they're treating this with abundance of caution because of that. But let me, one of the different things here. Surprisingly enough, there's nothing in DC, at least in the moment. DC might have gotten spare from the first round. Now there's more storms back west, and those now may become a problem because you can see they're developing in orange. It's Spotsylvania, Culpeper County, Stafford County, into Fauquier County. That's going to be moving towards Prince William. And DC, although there have been some storms in the area to zap some of that energy, it's still warm. It's still muggy. It's still humid. We haven't had any storms technically yet in Washington, D.C., so we'll have to monitor that closely because I know there's a lot of festivities given the holiday that we have. No, other than that, right now, it is bad stuff in the city of Baltimore right now. Make no mistake about it. I'm going to look at the downtown camera. This is going to be bad. I can already tell. Yeah. And take it full. And it freezed up on me just as I did that. Yeah. Let me try one more. That camera's offline. That's great. So the one that pans around downtown, that just got knocked out. That just shows you the sheer level of what we are dealing with in terms of the rain and the wind here in the city right now. And real quickly, I know we're talking about the highest populated center in Maryland at this moment. Technically, the largest city, I believe, is Silver Spring, or Bethesda. But right now, we're talking about our major city here getting impacted, but I want to go back south, and that technicality is by population, but that's the largest metro area that we do have, technically speaking, within the state of Maryland. But right now, we do have these storms that are approaching Dorchester. So for those of you in Dorchester, Talbot, Caroline, Queen Anne's, Kent County, you need to be paying close attention to all these storms that are starting to impact. We had severe thunderstorm warnings up and down the line. So Dorchester County until 8:15, I believe. Yes. Talbot County, Southwestern, Caroline County, that will go until 8:30, and then Kent and Queen Anne's and Kent Island until 8:30 as well. So these storms are progressing along, and Wakefield, Mount Holly, they're already noting what's happening, and these storms are progressing eastward. It's still an hour before sunset, and a lot of the energy is still there. Eastern Shore is about to get pounded. Let me take a look at some different cameras here. Once again, Fort McHenry, it's bad. It's just bad. There's another perspective from Baltimore. Lightning, pretty solid here. I will note something that is weird. Pikesville, Lockern, Woodlawn, Pikesville, Woodlawn, Lockern were in between the two storms and missed out on the heaviest stuff. Knock on wood. How about that? The odds of that actually happening are wild. But that's the deal. That's the hand that we were dealt, man. Some places are getting in abundance, some places are not. I'm surprised we don't have flood warnings yet. And I'm going to look at the Mesonet just to see how much rain has been picked up at some of these locations. I know Lake Montebello, it's still raining out there. Let's do... I'm looking for... Last out. Let's do the last out. My goodness. The Prince Frederick Station at the Maryland Mesonet, 81/100ths of an inch of rain. Sykesville, 9/10. Meanwhile, Clarksville's only got 9/100ths. That's the last hour. For the day, Keedysville's the big winner, 1.15 inches. Nanjemoy, an inch, basically. It's been feast or famine in some of these locations today simply because of the nature of these thunderstorms. Yes, they have become more widespread, but again, the temperamental nature of these summer variety severe thunderstorms is also making its presence known. Yeah, that is bad stuff over Fort McHenry right now. I wouldn't say it's quite the scenery of the Star Spangled Banner, but still, the rain, the lightning does create some allusion to that, which is weird to have on the 250th anniversary of independence. But I digress. There's a heavy storm over Columbia. Let's go over towards Lake Kittamaqundi. That's Sky Camp 3. You can see there's almost nobody out right now because there's another round of heavy rain that's moving through downtown Columbia this very second. They're supposed to have an event tonight. They may get it in, but the problem is we do have more rain on the back end of this that we have to contend with as well, unfortunately. Downtown, you're just getting in on the back side of this. Let me take the 3 view and pull it up with the radar. Downtown, you're on the back end of this. Do we have that camera? By some miracle. I'm going to keep checking because, you know, it's cooked. It's cooked. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with in terms of what's going on here in the city. DC, we still have to monitor because there's technically hasn't been any storms yet out there. There's one storm out towards Kent County, Delaware, and Sussex County, Delaware. That's heading towards Cape May County, New Jersey. and there's watches in place until 11, I believe that would be for South Jersey, the Philadelphia Metro, and there's even more storms. I'll go out to the composite and I'll pull up the MRMS. We'll do reflectivity. You can just see we still got storms basically spanning from, it's scattered in nature up towards Vermont and Massachusetts along that frontal boundary. But from there to Connecticut, down to the Hudson Valley of New York City, down to us, and all the way down towards Southern Virginia, there's just storms. And that's why the concern has been so great today, especially within this concentrated core of Central Maryland, simply because of the dynamics that are given today. Good grief, this has been rough. So let me just... Pardon me. We've been going for the last 2 hours. This has been a long-term event, y'all. It just continues. Pardon me. But that's what's going on right now. Just a mess, a congealed mess. Technically speaking, this warning's for 70. Do I buy at 70 right now? Velocities. Dover. Not really. I would treat this as a considerable tag, but right now, the way it's looking, unless it starts getting another push out of that energy or merges with that storm to the north, which is, I believe it's trying to do right now, I don't see 70s right now. Can it happen though? If it merges with the storms and the energy up towards Sparks, Glencoe, Phoenix, Cockeysville, Hunt Valley, up towards Jarrettsville? Yes. So all sorts of different interesting facets going on here within just some of these individual relationships in these storms right now. Talbot. That one's weakening. That doesn't look impressive. Yeah, it did a split. Watch. The energy did a split to the north. Just like that. So this may end up sparing Talbot to some degree, but Dorchester, it's turned. It's turned more east. It has turned more east. Dorchester County, especially along and south of 50, you probably going to be in for some more of these storms here. There's wooded and rural areas of Dorchester near the Blackwater River, Tudor Farms, Erie, Vienna, Madison. You're gonna get in on some of these storms here to the south. Residual rain right now: Carroll County, Frederick County, Montgomery, back down across Northern Virginia, essentially paralleling 81 to the east right now. But the storms are over the Patapsco, over the East Metro. That's the main point of focus at the moment.
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
Cecil County. Hartford, Cecil, they've continued the rest of the line to the east. Here's the deal, y'all. I'm looking at this, and these storms they're interesting. They look solid, but the problem is this: we're getting towards sunset now. We're closer, and I don't see these winds that are super intense. So here is my contingency. Hang on to that thought. We'll at least monitor this towards Rock Hall and McKinleyville because we have a pocket of 50 to 60 pushing in. Rock Hall, McKinleyville, Hickory Thicket, the Chester River, Eastern Neck Island, the Langford Creek, both the western and eastern forks towards Chestertown. We have to watch this for some 50s. But I'm going to do a comparison of what's going on right now. Compared to, let's say, 2 hours ago. Because this stream started about 2 hours back. I'm going to do rainfall. No. Are you? Do 50 scans. And I just want to see how this has progressed. So we started talking. This is 7:50 now. 5. We talked around this time, 5:40. We started talking about these storms back to the south, and they've progressed. It has just been interesting to watch everything just evolve and kind of devolve at the same time into this mess. But the damaging wind threat that I see here, quite honestly, not that it's the super high threat that we've had today, relatively speaking, in Central Maryland. It's there, but man, it's a little temperamental right now. I'm going to look at the concerns for these damaging winds. 60 plus, yes, moderate for the 75. I'm going to keep on at least until 8:30. If we don't have anything in terms of warnings post 8:30 that are of the considerable or destructive category, I'll go ahead. I'll close down this stream for now and come back if needed. But right now, these storms are really starting to make its way eastward. And I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, there should be I wouldn't be surprised if there's a warning for flash flooding out towards Baltimore City, because we've had a lot of rainfall in the last, hour and a half in the metro. I'm going to do 15 scans. It started really raining in downtown heavily around 7:25, 7:30. So it's been about 25 to 30 minutes of really good pouring rain here, and especially the East End. We're now starting to get in on some pretty good totals. Let's do 1 hour totals here, just out of curiosity. Wow. Glen Burnie, that's a lot. 2 inches in the last hour, according to radar indications. Now, of course, it's not ground truth, but that's just using radar algorithms. 1 inch of rain in the last hour, really within the last 25 minutes in the city of Baltimore. So with that as your backdrop, would I say that there would be a concern for flooding? On the lower end, yes. Although there hasn't been any flash flood warnings to note yet. Keyword, yet. Let me just pop up something here real quick, and I'll go back to reflectivity, so that's on when we go back. But I want to look at excessive rainfall today, and I know this is going to be a little bit of an eyesore, so forgive me. I'll zoom out. But we do have... I do this on the other system because it's hurting my eyes just to watch this. Yeah, we can do it on the other system. My God, the contrast is just... I can barely look at it. Let's do system 2. So there we are. That green color, that is a slight risk for excessive rainfall today. And I will note this here I'll read this off, I'm sorry. In terms of discussion, ongoing, let's just look at Eastern U.S. Isolated sky thunderstorms are expected and will be a flash flood concern for mainly urban, low-lying, and other sensitive areas. Some concern for the I-95 corridor from D.C. to New York City today, particularly across northern New Jersey, where guidance is a little bit more aggressive. For now, I've kept the risk category at marginalized storms may be more progressive. These storms have been a little bit more progressive. However, by how much? That's to each its own. The warning for Cecil, the progression is 25. They are speeding up to some degree now, which is good. 30 for the one that's moving it to Ken and Queen Anne's. 25 for the one that's moving it to Dorchester. So they are progressing, which is a good news. However, with the sheer amount of rain that's falling out of these storms and the abundance of moisture that we have today, I don't want to just rule out the potential threat for flooding. I just don't. So nothing yet in terms of warnings. Wow. If you saw that Fort McHenry camera just now on the top left, there was a big bolt of lightning. Good Lord. That was Test my luck. I'm going to go to Fort McHenry again. That was a big bolt of lightning that just struck at Fort McHenry. And again, the lightning with these storms tonight and this afternoon earlier has just been impressive. The last 15 to 30 minutes, we've gotten a lot of lightning. It's been electrical. We've had a lot of energy, and that's not surprising. With these summer storms, typically more times than not, they're going to have problems with just the abundance of lightning that's around. So that's what's going to do. And there's another. And just as I thought we were safe here in Baltimore, watch what happens now. There is new development on the backside of this in the metro towards Lockern and Woodlawn and Pikesville. Ain't that great? Right on 40. There's a camera at 40. I could take that real quick. Let's do.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
60 mile per hour winds. That's a Kent County storm, I believe, that was flashing earlier. Let's take the tower. That's 40. Yeah, it's just north now. Okay, we're going to do this real quick. I'm going to pop this up. So hang on. Do this full. I will quickly take off. I can't. This quickly. Actually, I can't. So here's what I'm going to do. Picture in picture. Pop this up. I can do it. Great. But basically you could see like the rain shaft pushing away is what I could see there towards Edmonton Village. And it's complicated. Save-A-Lot towards Franklin Town, Edmonton Village, it's pouring. Where is it pouring still? Lockern. Yeah, it's pouring where I'm at too. Out here on the west side. So I could hear some of the raindrops here through my headphones. But from Pikesville all the way down to about Irvington and Yale Heights, we got another heavy storm that's overhead. We thought we escaped. Nah. This little eddy on the back end towards Columbia organized and said, surprise. I ain't done with you yet. I ain't done with you yet. You see that? Watch. Columbia, EC, That was the one that was pouring earlier, and now it's up towards us. I thought we were gonna escape here at Pikesville, Lockern, and Woodlawn. Nope, not at all. It got us on the back end, and that's gonna merge, and that may push the caboose forward on the storm that's on the east end, and that's great. Ay ay ay. Good grief. What a night's been. Dorchester County, we still got more storms here. Again, I will be on until at least 8:30. Need to adjust. I've been sitting down for like the last 2 hours now. This is now a 2-hour stream. How about that? And we are now down to just garden variety severe. Hold on. We still have that considerable tag one. Until 8:30. Although they may get downgraded. The one that's moved to Rock Hall is particularly potent right now. 20 at 21. Heavy stuff. Damaging winds. I'll pop up that view real quickly on the other end. There you go. It was 20 at 21 out there north of Rock Hall, Kent County, on the eastern shore. You see the wind shaking, got some rain there. So those gusty winds are gonna become a problem. This real quick. And lightning just flashed on that camera. And Fort McHenry, lightning is flashing still as these storms progress east of Baltimore. Actually, it's a new that round has moved to Pikesville is now moving into 83 towards downtown again and the north side. So more rainfall, more torrential rain potentially in store for us, at least for a brief moment in time. Warning for Kent County's been dropped. That's good. Sussex got dropped. That one fizzled. My goodness. Watch. It just fizzles right over the Delaware Bay. And then I'm also going to take this time to look at Dover for the two warnings that we have for Dorchester County, Kent County, Queen Anne's County. And these will probably have some strong winds with them of 40, 50 plus miles per hour at least. I'm seeing some 50s along the leading edge, up to 60s. And is that in the same area? Yes, it is. So for those of you on the west side of Cambridge towards the Horn Point Laboratory, Powdermilk Village, Algonquin especially, that Cambridge Algonquin area, you need to be on alert for 60 mile per hour winds pushing in soon.
This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Good. That got downgraded, I believe. There's a lot of lightning, by the way, in Kent County. I'm looking at the camera in Kent. There's a lot of flashes ongoing with that camera. But that got that got downgraded. Good. So let me just show you the warnings map as we stand, and I'll go over to the second system. So Cecil County, Harford County, our severe thunderstorm warning for those locations goes until 8:45 for 60 mile per hour winds. The one that was considerable tag for God knows how long is now downgraded back to your garden variety severe thunderstorm warning. That is for northeastern Baltimore City, downtown, and points north and east, although a lot of the worst of it is now east of downtown and over towards Rosedale, Essex, Perry Hall, Middle River. That warning goes until 8:30. The storms in Anne Arundel towards the capital city that have been hanging around for some time, those are non-severe, but they're still there. And then we do have these warnings here in Kent County and Queen Anne's County. Those will go until 8:30. And that's what that complex that's producing all that lightning on the camera that that you saw for a brief moment and I've been seeing out towards Rock Hall. So that is the lowdown on all the warnings as we stand this very second. There are some considerable warnings up towards York County and Lancaster County. If you have any loved ones up that way, Lebanon County doesn't quite get the Berks, doesn't quite get the Reading. So if you have anyone up towards Lancaster, Ephrata, went towards Ephrata, toward, not Ephrata, Ephrata. What am I doing? If you have anyone towards Lancaster, Leola, Ephrata, forgive me, it's been one of those days. I'm tired, but those areas there, New Holland, Intercourse, Paradise, up towards the city of Reading. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for Berks County and Chester County, but it's below criteria. But if you have any loved ones up that way, that's what they're dealing with across the Mason-Dixon. And then more storms back over towards Sunbury, Lewisburg, south of Williamsport that are severe as well. But that's the general lowdown of what's going on. And then we have some storm reports. Wind damage. Tree fell onto a house in Reisterstown. Wow. That's as of 7/18. Bolt lightning strike pretty close here. Knock on wood. But that took some pause, and there's another one. Wow. Hang on a second, y'all. I'm going to put this on mute for a second.
Attention, a new special weather statement has been issued.
Good grief, this lightning, man. I tell you. Decided to take a break there. I had to take a look outside for myself. I got it is an interesting sight to say the least. Let me bring you back to yours truly. So here's what's going on right now. We're at 8:14 and Lake Hemakundi, we still have people there. Okay, the ads are running, so that's what it is right now. But you still have the storms, the ones towards Aberdeen, and then the ones in Kent County, Queen Anne's County. They're getting rather strong again as well. SRVs are not great. Of course, on a day like this, you would really want to look at SRVs because we're not looking for rotation. Pardon me. Gets the 50s near Aberdeen in terms of the data. I'm just going to take another look at the sky cams. So Fort McHenry, things have started to calm down, thank goodness. Here in the city, at northern half of the city, Towson, Owings Mills, it's pouring. And there's the lightning, as you could probably imagine still. Whammo. Nothing in DC yet, which is surprising. But still, we got to at least monitor for that because, again, DC didn't get much. Now it's starting to rain on the northern half. We'll see how that progresses. But there's a chance DC gets out of this at least without super terrible results. Let's go over to 3, which is Columbia. There's Columbia. Got some rain still at Lake Kittamakundi downtown, but it's light rain at most at the moment. But that's the general roundup, a little run around Central Maryland here this evening. Do have the storm in Cambridge. Is that a special weather statement? Yes, I believe it is. Yeah, that's for 50-mile-per-hour winds. So they just note this below severe criteria, but like a watch out type of deal. It's in downtown Cambridge this very second. So it's weakened below severe criteria, but nonetheless, it is heading towards Cambridge. I haven't done storm tracks in a long time. I just realized that. Let's go over to radar, and what I'm going to do is look at some of the storm reports. I'm going to filter this real quick. Settings, storm reports, and we're going to do general. No. Okay. Okay. So we had the wind damage in Ricestown, Louverville. We had 2 trees down. That's coming straight from the weather service in Sterling. There was a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. What was it? 58. So severe criteria. That was at Thurgood. That was at 7:09. We had some wind damage near Pasadena. Tree down near West Boulevard. That's from the weather service there. That's of an hour ago. I'm trying to look for some more reports, and honestly, what I would do here, I'm gonna switch over. And I'm just gonna get a statewide perspective, and we're gonna look up some reports. So give me 1 second. I'll filter this by the state of Maryland. Okay. So at least 4 trees down in Tawnytown. Wow. That was as of 7:19. I believe. Are we 4 hours behind?
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
And that's for the rest of Kent, Carroll, Northern Caroline County. Not Carroll, Kent, Queen Anne's, Northern Caroline County, Eastern Talbot, Northeastern Talbot technically, and into Kent and Sussex County in Delaware. That warning is going to go until 9 o'clock. But yeah, it's 4 hours. So 7:45, we had several trees down reported in Tawnytown, and that was and the location was Westminster, and it's emergency management. So I would imagine that would be maybe Carroll County and 911 reporting that. 2 trees down near Timonium. We talked about that. At least 4 trees down in Tawnytown from a report at 7:19. And there's a warning for the storm up in the metro right now, the northern half. It's still persistent. I'm just looking at some of these other reports. Near Prince Frederick in Calvert County, spot reports several trees down at home location, siding ripped off a house. Near Mechanicsville, St. Mary's County, numerous trees were down across St. Mary's County. The northern part of the county was hardest hit. Numerous trees blown down on southbound US 15 between Catoctin Furnace Road and the entrance to Cunningham Falls State Park. That's near Utica in Frederick County. More reports just came in. Department of Highways reported that at 5:58, the trees were blown down onto State Route 17, Myersville Road, south of Don Court. That is near Myersville, Frederick County. Charles County, near the Tompkinsville area, pardon me. That for the Mesonet? Okay, that's a weather flow sensor. That was the one, the Cuckoo Creek weather sensor there. That was Southern Maryland. We talked about that one earlier. Numerous trees down around Thurmont. That was from Frederick County 911. So these storms have produced some wind damage on Independence Day this afternoon. And I would say, based on what we have seen, this forecast and this prediction from the SPC was as advertised. This was an event that will be noted for at least the near future. Anything else I could see here? Nothing. Social media, numerous large tree limbs down in Prince Frederick, Calvert County. That was some social media there. Amateur radio, that was Ricestown. That the tree that fell onto the house there in Ricestown at 7:18. So busy afternoon, busy night of severe weather, unfortunately, has taken place. I will at least be streaming for another 10 minutes. And then from there, if we don't have any more considerable or destructive severe thunderstorm warnings, which right now, the way things are looking, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I will go off stream for now and go back as necessary. Department of Highways near Middletown reported at 5:52, numerous trees blown down onto alternate US 40, the old National Pike near Marker Road. That was in Frederick County, of course, near Middletown. And then, wow, this just came in. This is from the public. 62-mile-per-hour wind gusts was measured around Cambridge. So Hudson would be towards here, Hudson Creek, Hudson Road. It's too far away. I can actually probably pull these up. Let's do storm reports. Settings. Actually, no, I don't think it'd be in settings. It'd be here. Click down. Storm reports. And we'll do Spotter network. And storm puts in the last 6 hours. There it is. Okay, so that's the Hudson Creek area. That's where we had that 62-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's as of that storm was coming on shore. That was, oh my god, I'm getting my words mixed up. Jeez. That was as this storm was moving on shore onto Dorchester County earlier. We had 3/4 of an inch hail near Southgate earlier. And the watches are going to pop back up here soon. They're just being patched over. Especially for South Jersey and the Philadelphia area. Those are probably going to fill back in soon, I would imagine. Unless they somehow dropped it, which would be inexplicable. No, they didn't. It's going to fill back in. I'm seeing it on the other system. There you go. Okay, so that's just something that WeatherWise does from time to time. That's the extent of what's been happening, and I'll give you a loop of what's been the day. I'll go over to the other system and do this full. And I just want to show you what has happened this afternoon and tonight. We'll do settings. It might be better actually just do it on the system. It's easier, and I'll probably follow the animations more correctly. We're going to do 75 scans. Okay. Take these off because they're not animating and I don't want to take too much. And can I make the speed a little faster on this? So there's the storms that popped up earlier this afternoon. All of our destructive warnings that came out. Charles County, Frederick County. Then the storms popping up in the metro, creating the congealed mess, the 70-mile-per-hour wind gust potential, all the wind damage that we've seen across southern Maryland, central Maryland, the metro this afternoon, and there's where we stand now. It has been bad. It has been bad, to say the least. But that's where we are. Current view. It's raining here in the city. Fireworks are an hour out as of last check. Let me see if they've pushed anything back. Did they get pushed back? Okay. So the one thing I will note is that if you're going out, you have to be out at this point because it's going to be crowded downtown. But if you're going to see the fireworks, it's got pushed back. So instead of 9:30, it's going to be 10 p.m. So the fireworks at the Inner Harbor got pushed back half an hour. The Pratt Street Market at night begun about 30 minutes ago. Outdoor stage at the amphitheater begins at 9. So the Cherry Hill Arts and Music Waterfront Festival, it got canceled, except for the drone show tonight at 10 o'clock. Man, this has been a fourth. Annapolis 250. The parade got canceled today because of the weather. The fireworks over Spot Creek are expected to begin at 9:15. Um, the BSO just can't. The BSO canceled earlier this afternoon their Star Spangled 250 performance and the fireworks. And just so you know, for anybody who has investment in this, ticket holders will have the option to exchange tickets for another summer performance, receive credit towards a future concert, or donate tickets back to provide critical operational support to the BSO. And that's as of their statement to WBAL, just to give a full disclaimer. Fireworks at Kingsville High School, 9:15, but they had a rain date of tomorrow, so that they might. There's a good probability to exercise on that rain date, but don't take my word for it. Dundalk fireworks. There's a rain date of July 5th. A lot of these locations tonight, they may practice the rain dates. I'm gonna be very honest. I would just say continue to check with local services, but that's essentially what's happening right now. Pier 6 Pavilion show was canceled. The Red, White, and Groove Silent Disco postponed. As of WMAR. I'm just looking around at different sources just to give an idea of the events. But right now, we still have rain. I would say we have about another 30 minutes to an hour of rain to get through. We have some pockets of heavier rain again moving through the city, stretching down 95. Scattered in nature. One over the west side, one over the near west side, Sandtown, Winchester, and then one over Canesville, Arbutus, over towards the schools, and over towards the Wilkins Shopping Center, Charlestown Senior Living, all that area along Wilkinson, Maiden Choice. Another one over towards the Patapsco Valley State Park, Glenmar, Montgomery Run, and then another pocket near Columbia, right at 32 and 29, and another one Skaggsville to Burnsville. Other than that, just some light to moderate rain pockets right now from Jarrettsville to Owings Mills to Columbia down to about the American Legion Bridge, Falls of Rough, not Falls of Rough, second time today, Potomac, Poolsville, those locations. The back end of this is stretching from about Poolsville to Germantown to, let's say, Monrovia, Newmarket, Mount Airy, to about Manchester, Eldersburg, Manchester, Hampstead. Yes, I got that right at least. Charles County. relentless. There's another storm that's coming in from the south, and it's that complex that was moving through Charlottesville and Spotsylvania and Louisa and King George that's coming up here. So you got another round in Charles County to get through. Not severe at the moment, but some more heavy rains and thunderstorms are heading your way, Charles County, St. Mary's County, as we progress. And there's more activity back west. A cluster here north of Hagerstown, just across the state line in Franklin County, PA, Bedford County, PA, and then some more showers here. And thunderstorms extending from Bloomsburg to about Johnstown, Altoona, to, let's say, Washington, PA, and out towards Wheeling, West Virginia. So, man, it's going to continue for some time. And again, I want to stress before I sign off for tonight, tomorrow, there's another threat. Slight risk. Damaging wind, once again, a concern. 30% tentative. Yesterday, we were at 30% going into today, we were at 30%, and then they upgraded it. So I don't know if we have those dynamics in place, but we have to monitor that very carefully as we head into the day tomorrow. With that said, what an afternoon it's been. I think this event's lived up to the billing. Be safe if you are still heading out somewhere late tonight, heading into tomorrow morning. Be weather aware. Be careful about flooding. I know there's been no warnings, but the rain that we have had, those low-lying areas that may be flood prone, could be a little dicey, especially in our urban zones where there's a lot of pavement, a lot of asphalt. So please be careful if you are heading out tonight and commuting late and into the overnight and tomorrow morning. Happy 4th. Be safe. Be weather aware. I'm Jay Mitchell for 4Now WX.